So one of the things that I want to talk about today with Thibaut is what constitutes a good video. And I think that I would like to do sort of like a general concept of, for me, what it means in terms of a visual creator. So for me, there are three elements that are really important. The first one is that the video is in line with the artistic identity of the musician or the performer, in the sense that when we see that video, we can see that person represented in the video. The second one would be that is in line with the needs of the public. And the third one, I feel, is that the video needs to be in line with the purpose of that video. So Thibaut, I don't know how, if you can give us a little bit more specific examples of the things that you think make a good video.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so yeah, I'm going to talk mostly about what refers to my own experience, which is more in the realm of like chamber music, with my group Collectif Neuf, with like nine string musicians, and so that's what we do mostly. I think the first thing that comes to mind is maybe connects to what you said at first, is like how we want to show through the screen like ourselves, musicians, like what do we have to say, what do we have to propose to the audience? And I think to me that's one of the key elements when we present a performance on video. Is the same thing we want to share when we're on stage, let's say. Like we want to connect directly to the audience. It's just different. We have different tools to do it when it's video. Being able to showcase like who we are, like how we interact with each other on stage, and how we live the music we play, you know, how the music fits for us. And so that would be the first point. Then I think because we are in a video format without an audience, it opens lots of doors, and it gives us possibilities that we wouldn't have in a concert format. In terms of like what we show in the video, you know, we are not like on a single stage necessarily with like one backdrop, and the audience is always seeing us from the same point of view. There is much more we can offer in a video, that like with different camera angles and like different setup. The musicians can be in different positions or in different spaces. With different acoustic, so there is so much we can play with.
Now, by looking at your work, I've seen two clear lines in terms of videos, and one is I feel very natural. It's almost like you're inviting us to your garden, and then you have the musicians just playing, and it's just so joyful. And then we see this other video in which we see images that are more polished, and it's a lot more conceived as an audiovisual experience. Mm-hmm. So can you tell us what was the difference in process, and what was the difference in between thinking about something that was more spontaneous, or it looks like that, and something that probably took months to prepare?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I guess we're talking about music in the video format. There's so many things you could do, right? It's like there are like videos that are made like more quickly, with less equipment, less time, less money, and that have a certain purpose. If you need a video just to engage with the audience for like a specific moment of time, a short period of time, it's okay if you don't have many resources to do a video. It can be as successful if the point is for it to be like used in a certain time. Then on the other hand, if you want to create something that's going to last, and then that you're going to be able to look back at and see it as like something that's a step, in your development as an artist, like it would be for an album, let's say. Then of course it takes more resources, it takes more time to prepare and to make sure that what you're creating is in line with your vision, and not only in terms of the music that you're playing, but in terms of everything else.
Something that I don't know if you actually thought about it when you were filming, which is sort of like the corporality of playing an instrument. And of course, when you're playing live, I think you can just let yourself go and really play, and it's a performance. You're feeling the energy of the public.
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder if that experience changed, especially when you have a camera very close to you. Like if you can do the same thing, or you have to play a little bit less big. How is that experience of being filmed, playing, and playing live?
But this probably every musician will experience it differently depending how they are as a performer. Some performers are like less grandiose when it comes to physical gestures, and some are obviously. But I think both ways can really be featured like nicely on the video. I think, and it's something we learn along the way, because it's not something we often come with from the start. When we start making videos, we know how to play our instruments, but then playing for the camera is something else. Like the image you
portray,
you project. While you play, there's no good recipe. It has to be yourself. Again, that can take a long time. For some people, to get that.
I think that now in the period of COVID, I think that the thing that gives us hope is just looking for the silver linings. What are the silver linings that you find in now communicating differently with your public, just in terms of digital media or video?
One thing is, since we're not playing concerts all the time anymore, we have more time to focus on other productions, like video productions in our case. So we can put more care into it, and that takes a lot of time, a lot of work, and to find the right people to do it with, because as soon as you want to present something to an audience, you need more partners. It's not only playing the music, you need somebody to record it, to film it, to edit it. There's lots of other people that we don't see on the screen that are part of this. So that takes time too, to find the right people. But then once you have a good team, then you're able to show like your artistic personality in more diverse ways, maybe than when it's just a regular concert.
I think that when we are talking about creating a video, there are different levels of creation. I think that I would define it the easiest one, where I don't think there's as much creative input in terms of creating actually a final piece, just capturing or recording the live performance, which is there's only one camera and we're just trying to film the experience. Then I would say maybe a live performance or something that is meant to live in a platform for a longer time, having a concert that has multiple cameras, that it's a little bit more scripted, but it's still very defined by the concert itself. Mm-hmm. And then I think there's the example of your creation, the audiovisual album that you are doing, Rituals, in which there is a thought into it in terms of evoking the images that you feel in the music. So I don't know if you can speak to us about the different experiences in terms of filming something with the live performance with the public, something without the public.
Yeah, I mean, it's true that filming with an audience or without an audience is like two completely different things. When there is an audience, there is a need for continuity in a performance. You can't just stop halfway and like redo it again, or like say, okay, now we take a break and we're gonna change the setup, or it has to be continuous, at least most of it, But as soon as there is no audience, then like it opens a lot of possibilities. If the medium you want to develop is the video, I think it's good to take advantage of the new possibilities you have, and it's gonna allow you to have a stronger connection with the audience. I think if you use what you can do with this new medium. So in terms of like occupying the space, there's so much we can do as of course, if the group is bigger, like I can't wait to see orchestras like change the usual setup. You know, they could do so much. Just in terms of organization on stage. If you're just one musician, there's not so much you can do. But as soon as you're a bigger group, you can play with that. And that allows you to create new camera angles and give variety, diversity throughout the performance to keep the audience involved.
So how has this been this process of conceiving the images that evoke your music? How do you go from playing and talking a language that you already know to translating that to the images?
Yeah, so I guess the work we do tends toward like what you can do for a video clip, where often for a video clip you already have recorded the sound and you're trying to create a visual that supports the sound with not much constraint. Like the limits of playing the music are not there anymore. It's done. So you can the voice of the video director can completely express itself. So in our case, we always put a focus on like showcasing a performance, a music performance, a live performance, and so from like featuring just the performance to the video clip, like the step in between that we are exploring right now, is this a mix of the two. And then it has to be a collaboration, because we're not videographers ourselves, and we prefer to work with people that know how to do this. So then it becomes an exchange with our collaborators, and we try to find the right collaborators that we can find an artistic connection, and they like the music. They like the music we play. They like the energy of our group, and they want to be part of it. They want to add their voice to what we do.
So let's say that we want to create some content for social media. So in your experience, is it possible to do this kind of videos without any preparations and just be completely spontaneous, or there's always some preparation prior?
I guess there are all kinds. Sometimes you can be very successful, like just turning on the camera and then go for it, and it can be a great result. But if you're filming a live performance of music performance, like you want a good sound, and so if you want a good sound, you need the right equipment. You need to set it up so that if you go that way already, that takes a bit more preparation. If you don't have that can still be very good, but you do a compromise somewhere. So then it's like the right balance between like the spontaneity and like the more produced result, like a produced product. And I think in my experience, we try to always keep this spontaneity, even though we were in a more produced context. And that's not an easy thing to do. And you want everybody to be in the right mood, in the right place, to be able to give a performance that's very spontaneous, even though there are like 20 people watching you with cameras and microphones, you know?
Do you think that spontaneity that you have between the members of your group comes with the experience of playing together? So in some way, it's a sort of preparation as well? I
think it's important to accept that it won't be perfect right away, and you learn from the mistakes, and the faster you do the mistakes, the sooner you can do something better. You learn on the way to be able to, even though there is more and more people involved in the team, in the technique, like to be able to still give like a performance that's spontaneous. And I think one big difference there is like between like a studio recording, like when you record just the audio, and the video is you also want to have like not only a playing that's going to be spontaneous and like natural, and you also want to look spontaneous, and that's something we don't learn as we go to school. How do we work on the way we look? It's very exciting, and that's why it's great to be able to work with people repeatedly. because you learn together, and then there's a feeling of trust that bonds the group and allows you to take more risks and to do projects that are always a bit different.
I think that for me, probably the most inspiring thing to do and something that really gets my passion is working with performing artists. But of course, I know my side of the story. I know how it is to collaborate with musicians. I've learned how to speak musician in a way. But I want to hear your side as well. And I think that the first question that I would do is, for you, what constitutes a successful or a good collaboration?
Mm-hmm. I mean, collaboration, yeah, it's the essence of playing music with a group of people, like playing chamber music. It's all about collaboration. So, yeah, it's fantastic to have the chance to work with people, more people, different people that have different backgrounds, and that really enriches our practice and our inspiration. You know, it gives us new directions, new things to explore. To me, I'm always very curious about the people I work with, about what they do, and I think that's what makes it very exciting. It's like to learn something that I don't know already, finding the right people that you can learn from, and they're interested in what you do, and it's like becomes really an exchange that takes time. And I've learned so much in the past 10 years. You can refine, I think, what you like, what you want to do artistically, once you find the right words to communicate. Because at first, maybe you don't explore so much, because if you don't know what their work is, there's not so much you can communicate. It's very exciting to learn how it's done, you know, so I can contribute to the work, and we can really talk about how to do this cut, how to do this edit, where to put the camera, what light do we want, this kind of stuff. That's very, very cool.
Are there things that you've learned, or some awareness of the way that you play that has been brought by being filmed? Is there anything that has changed in the way that you're playing your instrument?
I mean, there is a comment that often comes. Maybe it's more typical for classical musicians, because the way we move, the way we are on stage is not something we think about so much as we learn the instrument. So often we can have the impression that we are doing big gestures on stage, and wow, it's maybe, I'm moving too much, you know. I see around me people are not moving, and then when you see yourself on screen, actually, no, you don't see anything, you know. So this kind of thing is very interesting to notice, and because we don't, you know, we can have coaches as musicians, classical musicians. People are gonna come to listen to you play and tell you how to improve things. But at some point, you have less of them around you, you know, and they rarely talk about how you are on stage. Not like it is for maybe singers do it more, but of course dancers and everything that's with the body. That's what they work on, and they have people giving them feedback. And we don't have that so much. It's not so much what people do. So that's something we learn as we go, we're doing more and more videos, we see ourselves, and that's very interesting to explore.
How do you establish a relationship of trust with someone that doesn't speak your language? And here I'm thinking of translating from an auditive language into a visual language, and what is the language that you use to translate music into visuals? Mm-hmm.
But the relationship of trust, I mean, it takes time to find the right people that you connect with, and I think the human part is as much important, if not more, than the artistic connection you can have with somebody. It's all about communication, and if you can't communicate functionably in a way that works, then even if you have this artistic connection, it's going to be difficult to get to a good result. So yeah, finding the people that you have a good communication with. So we also do mood boards or stuff like take references, show other videos, show other examples that can be a concrete description of what we have in mind. Yes, we do this kind of work. But when you want to do something different than what you know, then there is no real good example. You know, it's always a bit different.
So when you're looking for a director or someone to work with that is going to translate those images, do you look for someone whom you have more experience working with, so you know that you're going to get something good because it has worked in the past? Or do you work with someone that has a portfolio that represents what you want to do or has a more similar style to what you have to do? So what do you think is more important, or is it balance? What happens there?
Yeah, I mean, definitely it's balance. It's like there's so many elements before getting to a final like recording video, like starting from like who is playing, what do you play, like who is like filming, who is recording the sound, who is doing. There's lots of people involved. So I think it's about evaluating the risk of how it could go wrong. Like if you do something you have done before with the people you have worked with before to do the same thing, like there's not much risk. And the other way, like the extreme opposite would be to do something completely different with completely different people, and it might go very wrong. It might also be great, but so it's like finding the right balance between your experience, the experience of the people you work with, and the experience you have like working together. Yeah, and it can be even more exciting than the art itself. You know, it's the human experience. And
yeah, and I think you said something beautiful, that it, you know, like, let's not be afraid to fail. It's an experimentation from which we can learn.
Exactly.
And we might even want to work with that person again because we failed beautifully.
Totally. Yeah.